This video is about real life house niggas, especially that old rat nigga Al Sharpton. Straight rap, always been. Always have, always will be. Goddamn it. But these niggas here, y'all, is listening to their master, which is Joe Biden. And in this video is going to show you how he and the rest of these slaves had a plan to let these illegal migrants cross the border. And now they all saying that these illegal migrants built America. Can't make this shit up, y'all.
Shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it. I mean what I say when I say it.
All right, Patriots. Now, the purpose of this video is to really lay it all out on the table and let people see and hear for themselves exactly how the Democrat Party feels about minorities or about anybody that's not in alignment with the Democrat Party, especially if you're a white male and you're not in alignment, you're the enemy. If you're a black male and you're not in alignment, you're the enemy. And very few black women aren't in alignment with the Democrat shenanigans, but there are a lot. There are thousands and thousands that are converting every day, that are seeing through the racism of that party. And I don't throw around that word loosely like the Democrats do. You know, if you disagree with somebody, oh, you're a racist, you're a bigot. But what you're going to see in this video, this is a Zoom call that Joe Biden had 1 month prior to swearing in for the presidency. And he did a phone call with the so-called black civil rights leaders. And the level of disrespect and how he speaks to them and the things that he says was jaw-dropping and shocking. And at one point in the video, he even blames America's problems on the minorities and speaks about how Hispanics are really the group that everybody should be looking toward to do things with. i.e., remember, he opened up the border to get those illegal immigrants over. So it clearly shows Joe Biden wasn't as ignorant and as blind to what's going on as they like us to believe he is. Now, at the end of his term, yeah, he was totally mentally gone. But on this Zoom call, and there's a clip of where he speaks about how great illegal immigration is and how awesome it is.
We can afford to do this in terms, this is a big country. The idea we can accommodate more people in the interest of the United States. And by the way, guess what? They're the reason why, the legal as well as undocumented, they're the reason why our society is functioning, the reason why our economy is growing. We don't talk about that. We stand up and act like it's a burden. It is not a burden. It's a gift.
And then, in this clip where he's sitting right next to Mayorkas, talking about his plan to flood the country with illegal immigrants.
An unrelenting stream of immigration, non-stop, non-stop. Folks like me who are Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
So no longer will I dismiss this as if, oh, this was just the Democrat establishment and Joe Biden was too senile to know. No, this was intentional, it was on purpose, and it was to establish a new voter base because they realized that black demographic is moved on and they're becoming Republicans. They're going back to the party that we've been the majority of the time in this country, which is Republican. But I'm not going to speak too much. I'm going to enlarge this to full size. And I want you to listen. If you're somebody that's here for one-liners or jokes, it's not going to really be that in this video because I'm going to let Joe Biden play. And it's fairly lengthy, but it's extremely important. If you're somebody who loves this country and you really want to dig beneath the surface and see what's going on and how people are treated behind the scenes, because this wasn't a public Zoom call. It was private. And it was very, very challenging to even find this because the headlines, after he said what he said to those black leaders about America being doomed because of black people and because whites becoming a minority, they tried to scrub it. Joe Biden even came out and issued an apology for it, but I found it. So without any further ado, I'm going to let this play and I'll come back and give my commentary towards the end. But check this out, jaw-dropping.
So as you know me, and I know you, Vice President-elect, I will never embarrass you. I never in 8 years, even when I disagreed with President Obama, National Action Network, we both have been there, spoke for us several times. We will not embarrass you, but we will never lie to you. And we will never tell you that things are going certain ways that they're not going. As I said that day,
a whole bunch of house niggas, especially that old rat Al Sharpton. Listen to him, y'all.
Selma, Mr. Vice President-elect, that we are not looking for better.
First of all, these leaders don't speak for all the black African-American community. They only speak to those who are blind, okay? The rest of us fled these Negroes. We fled the plantation. These niggas stuck in the cotton field with massa. Straight house niggas. Real life house niggas. Sell their own peoples out for some crumbs on the plate.
Slave masters were looking for freedom. And you should have said, I'm right. I was directing it at an opponent of yours because some people think they can come in at the last minute, say they're progressive, throw their fists in there, and we're conned by that. Derek, you're muted.
You're muted, Derek.
I'm there. President,
Muted,
you
Derek.
mentioned more than once about this life
CEO of the NAACP, who did nothing
in Delaware.
for African Americans.
We are now saying the black community have stood up in this election cycle. Let's not suffocate the black voting.
No, the house niggas stood up. Not the field niggas. The house niggas stood up. And y'all standing on that foolishness.
Georgia, and make sure we send the right message. Because the success of this administration will be the ability of the Senate to confirm your nominees. We have an opportunity here. We want to make sure we seize upon this opportunity.
After he just said he bringing in these illegal migrants to replace niggas, and look at these so-called African American leaders. They on board with that shit. Once again, selling niggas out.
And allowing for the input necessary. 10 more appointments to go. A lot of people in our community are getting a little anxious because they are not seeing enough of the progress they thought they would have seen at this point. Let's not disappoint them, and let's not get to a place where voters in Georgia begin to second guess.
Okay, let me respond. I've got to go. Let me respond. There's a lot to respond to here. Let's get some.
Talking greasy to these old house niggas. Talking real greasy to these old house niggas. Y'all listen to him.
Straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it. I mean what I say when I say it.
While we watching Joe Biden make a fool out of himself, would you do me a solid? Would you hit that like button, please?
I'm the only person who's ever run on 3 platforms that I was told could not possibly win the election. And I never ceased from it. One was on restoring the soul of this country because of what I saw happen in Charlottesville. That was it. No one else was talking about it. The words of presidents matter. Nobody else, no progressive, was talking about it. I did. My son Bo used to have an expression. He said, remember, Dad, home base. It ain't worth the job if I can't say what I believe. I didn't want to run this time. I ran this time because of the racist son of a gun who was president of the United States of America. That's why I ran. And you remember, a lot of you told me talking about the soul of America was going over people's heads. They didn't know what we're talking about. The words of a president matter. What a president says matters. And you've never seen me shy away. In the middle of the debate, I called him a racist. In the middle of the debate with him, I took on white supremacists. I'm the guy that took on every single time somebody was threatened in this country. The only white boy you know who did it, period, out there. Every single time. Page, the same exact page.
Now, do you notice how he's gaslighting them? He's the only white boy this, he's the only white boy that stood up because he stood up and he mentioned things that we now know are not true. Trump is not the racist. He's the same one that said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. He's the same one that said, poor kids are just as talented as white kids. He's the same one that said Obama was the first clean, articulate black, as if there aren't other black people out there that are articulate and that are clean. It's the most insane thing in the world. And look how he's speaking to him. He's screaming and yelling, and he's pointing his finger. I wish the video wasn't so fuzzy, so you could really see he's pointing. And even before he started talking, when that black guy, Derek, was finishing what he was saying, Joe Biden was chuckling. He was chuckling because he was getting pissed off. That's why he said, hey, I got to go. But let me say something. Now, he said he has to go, and he's going to keep talking. How bad did he really have to go? He said that as a way to interject because he was getting pissed off. But listen to him gaslighting them, calling Trump the racist, when there's Democrat policies, Democrat leadership. He's the same one that wrote the 94 crime bill. So I just wanted to point that out because I was getting annoyed listening to them say that. Let me get back to it.
We talked about closing the racial wealth gap. That's the single biggest thing I want to get done. It's the ultimate equalizer, no matter what else happens. Because I plan on spending over $15 billion to provide for opportunity for young Black entrepreneurs to get them off the ground, Black farmers to be able to own their own property, young people being able to get their first $15,000 down payment on a home.
Trump already did that, and it's called opportunity zones. He's gaslighting them again. Opportunity zones that Trump did in his first term. This man makes me sick. On the heels of all of the stuff that's taking place in the country right now, seniors, it's
sure that they have an opportunity to gain wealth.
Opportunity
to do
zones.
all the rest of this, unless the Black community is able to make up the wealth gap, in my humble opinion, is real trouble. I support same-day registration. I'm the guy that extended the Voting Rights Act for 25 years as a United States Senator. Before, Sherilyn, you were even involved. I got it. I started off, I'm much older than you. That's why I got involved in politics. The assault on the Black vote and voting rights across the nation has never been more ugly than it is today. You got to go all the way back to the original Jim Crow to get where this guy is. If in case you haven't looked, we have the largest voting right, Kristen, my operation, 1,000 lawyers, bigger than you or anybody else out there on voting rights. 1,000 in this campaign. Not a joke. 1,000.
Listen to how he's disrespecting them. Now, you might have missed it because I didn't play that part in the video. This lady in the upper corner, she was talking about voting rights, voting rights, voting rights. That's why he said, I've done more and I've been doing this longer than you, before you even got in it. And then this other lady, when he's talking about the attorneys and the lawyers, he's going through and he's checking each one of them one by one. This man is deranged. And everything he's saying to them, as soon as he took office, guess what happened? Nothing. But I'll let him continue lying.
So I want you to know, I understand this. I know, look at the 38 cases that have been brought against my being president of the United States. All about phony actions. And so I think there should be same-day registration, automatic voting rights. I've been pushing, and I got a number of people to contribute significantly to the effort down in Florida to make sure that federal prisoners who serve their time have every single right restored to them. That's been my position before it was anybody else's position. I've been out pushing that. In addition to that, I think it's really important that no one goes to prison for a drug offense. Nobody. They go into rehabilitation. That's what we should be building.
I gotta pause it again. Again, this is the same man that co-sponsored the 94 crime bill with Bill Clinton, which stated that somebody that had powdered smomaine, which is, smoking, and somebody who had rocked up smoking would get different prison sentences. Same exact compound, different prison sentences. You know why? Because one was more prevalent in the Black community when it was in its rock form, and then its powder form was more associated with other communities. And he's talking about, this, that, the other, and nobody should go in for a drug offense. He's the one that changed the enhancements for those offenses. And so I'm listening to him speak to the so-called Black leaders, and this is why nothing gets better in Black communities. These folks all sit around kissing his butt. I cut out Al Sharpton's crap because it was just, you had to put your boots on up to your thighs. But listen to how this man lies, and none of them call him on it.
Rehabilitation centers, not more prisons. I have a $20 billion effort that I'm proposing to get states to change their sentencing guidelines so that there's no more mandatory sentences across the board. In addition to that, we're talking about having diversity hiring in every agency. I promise you that is going to happen. We're just getting started here. Police reform, judicial reform. Look, if you notice, when I was chairman of the Judiciary Committee and when I was advising the president, who did we get on the court? We got on a woman who worked for me, became a member of the Supreme Court. Another woman who was a leading Hispanic in America no one paid attention to is on the court. All the people that I pushed on the court have been really pro-civil rights judges.
Now we know why those leftist judges are so heavily activist for the Democrat Party. One of them worked for Joe Biden.
Relentless. Alfred Charles Sharpton Jr. was born on October 3, 1954 in Brooklyn, New York City. Sharpton has always been a showman. In 1969, he was appointed by Jesse Jackson to be the youth director of the New York City branch of Operation Breadbasket, focused on the promotion of new and better jobs for African Americans. In 1972, he was the youth director for the presidential campaign of Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. He graduated from Samuel J. Tilden High School and attended Brooklyn College, dropping out after 2 years in 1975. Between 1973 and 1980, Sharpton served as James Brown's tour manager. Sharpton jumped into the national spotlight after Bernard Goetz, a previous survivor of street violence, shot 4 African-American men on the New York City subway No. 2 train in Manhattan on December 22, 1984. Goetz was acquitted of all charges except for carrying an unlicensed firearm. And please see our video on Bernie Goetz. Sharpton, who never led a crusade against black-on-white or black-on-black gang crime, led several marches protesting what he saw as the weak prosecution of the case. Sharpton and other civil rights leaders said Goetz's actions were racist and requested a federal civil rights investigation, which finally concluded the shooting was due to an attempted robbery and not race. Sharpton became an FBI informant in 1983 following his role in a drug sting involving the Colombo crime family captain Michael Franzese. Sharpton recorded incriminating conversations with Genovese and Gambino family mobsters, contributing to the indictments of several underworld figures. Sharpton is referred to in FBI documents as CI or Confidential Informant 7. Sharpton is alleged to have secretly recorded conversations with black activists in the 1980s regarding Joanne Chesimard, also known as Assata Shakur, and other underground black militants. Veteran activist Ahmed Obafemi told the New York Daily News that he had long suspected Sharpton of taping him.
Now, Sharpton, I told you I was a rat, y'all. A known rat that worked for the slave master. He been known for that shit, y'all. Here go the facts right here.
With the bugged briefcase.
Bug briefcase.
On December 20th, 1986, 3 black men were assaulted in the Howard Beach neighborhood of Queens by a mob of white men. The 3 men were chased by their attackers onto the Belt Parkway, where one of them, Michael Griffith, was struck and killed by a passing motorist. A week later, on December 27th, Sharpton led 1,200 demonstrators on a march through the streets of Howard Beach. Residents of the neighborhood, who were overwhelmingly white, yelled racial epithets at the protesters, who were largely black. A special prosecutor was appointed by New York Governor Mario Cuomo after the 2 surviving victims refused to cooperate with the Queens District Attorney. The case propelled Sharpton to national prominence. And, of course, never one to miss an opportunity to play the role of a grieved savior and get national attention, Sharpton immediately jumped on the Tawana Brawley case. In November 1987, the 15-year-old from Wappingers Falls, New York, went missing for 4 days. She was found lying in a garbage bag, seemingly unconscious, smeared with feces, her clothing torn and burned, and with racial slurs written on her body, claiming that she had been abducted and raped by several white men, including police officers. Of course, Sharpton, without any formal legal training or education, along with attorneys Alton H. Maddox and C. Ronan Mason, became prominent advisors in the case. They helped bring public attention to Brawley's claims. They also made a very big mistake. Sharpton publicly accused prosecutor Stephen Pagonis of being involved in the assault and responsible for racially motivated cover-ups. A grand jury was convened in 1988 with a special prosecutor assigned, and after reviewing extensive evidence such as medical records, interviews, and physical evidence, they concluded that there was no truth to her story.
She
The
lied.
following reasons the grand jury returned with a no bill were as follows. The rape kit showed no signs of rape or sexual intercourse. Despite claiming days outdoors in freezing conditions, Brawley showed no signs of exposure, hypothermia, or elemental damage. The racial slurs on her body were upside down, suggesting self-application. The feces matched that of a neighbor's dog. Stephen Pagonis sued Sharpton, Maddox, and Mason for defamation, and Sharpton was found liable for several defamatory statements and ordered to pay an initial damage of $65,000, which others helped him pay. A later jury verdict on liability ruled $345,000 in damages to be allocated across all defendants. Brawley herself was also ordered to pay damages for defaulting in a defamation suit.
Like a motherfucker.
Sharpton said that he believed Brawley's story at the time, though he has expressed some regret for the way he conducted himself, especially in personal attacks. He openly disagreed with the grand jury publicly. The case raised serious issues about race, justice, media sensationalism, and how civil rights leaders engage with alleged victims. Sharpton inflamed already tense racial dynamics without enough basis in fact, but he could have cared less. Black community members felt the grand jury's findings were in error, deeply dividing the community. Sharpton then took advantage of this to inflame the situation for his personal agenda. An ambulance chaser with cause, that is his mantra. It remains a lesson in the danger of rushing to judgment, but also in the deeper issues of trust, race, and power. Sadly, Sharpton appears to have never learned this lesson. To say that he has a habit of rushing to judgment is being kind to Sharpton. Many people believe that even if he knows a case is fraudulent, he will jump on it to get FaceTime on TV and gather donations from the misinformed. But Sharpton was never very far away from exploiting a controversy. In Crown Heights in 1991, a Hasidic Jewish driver of a station wagon, driven by Yosef Lifsh, hit another car and careened onto the sidewalk at 8:21 p.m. on Monday, August 19, 1991, accidentally killing a black child, 7-year-old Gavin Cato. Lifsh was part of a 3-car motorcade carrying the deceased spiritual leader of the Lubavitcher Hasidic community, Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. Sharpton made several charged statements referencing apartheid ambulance service, calling Jewish residents diamond merchants, and suggesting that the driver was drunk, which was later proven to be untrue. Continuing his ambulance-chasing methods, Sharpton threw himself into the fray. The grand jury declined to indict Lifsh. The ruling was that under New York law at the time, the single act of losing control of a vehicle, even one resulting in death, didn't necessarily meet the threshold for criminal negligence in that context. Sharpton was not even present at the accident, but became one of the leaders of protest and made insane inflammatory speeches which he later said he regretted. At least one of his quoted lines in that period was, "If the Jews want to get it on, tell them to pin their yarmulkes back and come over to my house." Sharpton stoked the flames leading to the ensuing riots, which lasted 3 days and included actions such as looting, assault, property damage, and anti-Semitic chants. According to those who know him, Sharpton is not that intelligent and he knows it, but he brought value to the movement. In my personal opinion, he has become a liability to his party, joining a long line of others. That's because of his rhetoric. February 13, 1994, Sharpton displayed his ignorance of history and showed his true colors when he told a student audience at Keene University in New Jersey, quote, "White folks was in the caves while we was building empires. We built pyramids before Donald Trump even knew what architecture was. We taught philosophy and astrology and mathematics before Socrates and them Greek homos ever got around to it." Sharpton defended his comments by saying that the term homo was not homophobic. However, he added that he no longer uses the term. But if there is not a controversy that gets him in the news, he creates them, such as in 2001 when he was jailed for 90 days on trespassing charges while protesting against U.S. military target practice exercises in Puerto Rico near a United States Navy bombing site. Sharpton was held in a Puerto Rican lockup for 2 days and then imprisoned at Metropolitan Detention Center, Brooklyn on May 25, 2001. He was released on August 17, 2001. What he did was idiotic, but it kept him in the headlines. Sharpton and his nonprofit, National Action Network, paid themselves large bonuses, receiving donations that raised conflict of interest concerns. such as for interviews and owing back taxes. Sharpton awarded himself nearly $1 million in bonuses over several years. Over the years, Sharpton has used charged, confrontational, and inflammatory language, accusing people of racism, comparing officials to Hitler, and strong criticism of conservative institutions before full facts were settled. In several cases, opponents accuse him of rushing to judgment. Some think he errs too often on the activism side without enough fact-checking. In most cases, he just lied.